Hello BookTube, Sarah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my weekly reads for December the 16th, 2017. This is the third time I am recording this. I just found that I cannot talk today. I have the words I want to say are in my head, but somewhere between here and here, they're getting all discombobulated and coming out completely wrong. So we're just going to go with this. Now I know why so many people highly edit. But you know what? It is what it is. I edit to put the pictures in and occasionally to take out something that I said that was really stupid. But some of the stuff I just wasn't able to save, so I'm like, let's just try it again. So to start off with, let's talk about the tea that I am drinking today in my beautiful 2015 Starbucks mug. See, there's the year on the inside. This is actually not my David's tea for today, not from my tea calendar. Today's tea from the tea calendar was Sleigh Ride, which is a yummy, yummy tea. But it is a herbal tea, so I'm saving it for tonight to enjoy while I sit and watch television and knit. But this one is Joy Tea, and it's actually from Teavana, which is sadly closing, but also sold at Starbucks, and this is the Joy Tea. Now you'll see the year is 2017. This is just this year's vintage, if you will. I'm still drinking Joy Tea that I have been hoarding in my cupboard since 2015, and it's still good. This is a 2015 one that I'm drinking now. But this tea, in case you're curious, is black, green, and oolong, blissfully blended for the season. So this is a seasonal tea. The sad part is this might not be back next year. There's a very, very good chance this is being retired because Teavana is closing, and it's kind of up in the air what Starbucks is going to be doing with their teas and stuff like that. So who knows? But if you get a chance to try this, guys, definitely do. It's a yummy, yummy tea, and I absolutely love it. So maybe it will help me get through this without stumbling over my words. So I read a grand total of 6 books this week, you guys. Pretty amazing. Now granted, a few of them were on the shorter side, like around 200 and some odd pages, so, you know, that kind of helped. But the first book that I finished this week was Mistletoe on Main Street by Olivia Miles. This is the first book in the Briar Creek series, and I gave it 4 stars. It has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.72 stars, and I got 3 challenges done out of this one. So the first one was for the Triple RC for December, challenge number 9, which was New Year's Eve, which was read a book by a new to you author, which I did. The next one was my 6th book for the Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge, which is just essentially read books that have a holiday in them. And then the last one was for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree Challenge for, it was challenge number 5, which was Do You Want to Build a Snowman? And it's read a book with snow on the cover or a book about sisters. This book has both snow on the cover, and it was about sisters. This was a really sweet story. It is a romance between Grace and Luke, and it is a second chance romance. Grace and Luke had been high school and college sweethearts, and then she left town to pursue bigger and better things. She felt like she wasn't cut out to the life that Luke wanted for them, where, you know, they'd get married, she'd have a couple kids, and they'd stay living in this tiny little small town in Vermont. And she didn't want that, and so she moved to New York City, and she became a relatively quite a famous author. Her first book was like an instant success kind of idea. Her second book, or her next book, not so much. And now she's kind of come back to town with her tail between her legs, and, you know, trying to decide what she wants to do next with her life. Well, in the 5 years that she's been gone, she's only been back for the holidays, and she only comes in and leaves for the day, so she doesn't have to run into Luke. And then in the spring, her father had passed away, and so she was back in town for the funeral, but pretty much stayed for that and then left. So she hasn't really talked to Luke in 5 years. And of course, the first person that she runs into, literally as soon as she crosses city limits, is Luke. So, you know, it's a cute story about the two of them. It's also a very wonderful family story with Grace and her 2 sisters and their mother trying to deal with the death of the father, and this being the first Christmas without him, and how the mother is dealing with the loss of her husband. And, you know, it's a wonderful, wonderful story. There was one thing really bothered me, and this didn't take the star rating down, but it really kind of irked me throughout the book, is they kept talking about what this famous author, Grace, was and what she had done. They never mentioned what kind of book she wrote, and it just seems odd to me. Like, you know, is she a famous romance novelist? Is she a famous mystery writer? Did she write a great, you know, literary fiction novel? I don't know. I feel like it would have delved more into her character to find out what kind of book she enjoyed reading or writing. Do you know what I mean? And I just found it odd that the author never pointed that out in the book. But c'est la vie. Still a great story. If you like contemporary romance, small town contemporary romance, absolutely check this one out. It was also a relatively clean story. So for those of you who like to shy away from things that are a little more spicy, this one was a cleaner story. So yeah. The next book that I finished was The Christmas Hope, and this was by Donna VanLiere. This is the third book in the Christmas Hope series, and I gave it 3.5 stars, and has an average rating on Goodreads of 4.31 stars. So this is a high-rated book. I really enjoyed this one. I'm enjoying this whole series. Now, I posted this on the Goodreads group for the Not Just Romance Novels book club, where this read-along for the 24 Days of Christmas Hope read-along is being held, or being hosted, I should say. I am not going to be continuing past this book to try and keep up with everybody else. It was a book every 3 days, and December this year has been, this December has been a lot more stressful at work than years prior. And it's been hard for me. I get home at night and I'm tired and I don't want to do too much. And, to try and keep up with this pace, to try and keep up with the read-along is difficult. I know that come, the last week or so of December, I'm probably going to be struggling to finish a lot of the books that I had on my TBR. But the fact of the matter is that I'm not working that week. So I don't have that work stress piled on top of those deadlines. Not that they're deadlines, they're self-imposed deadlines, but you guys know what I mean. So just an FYI, but if you are still participating, please use the group, and I really hope you guys are enjoying these books. I know I was, and I still have them. I haven't taken them back to the library yet. They're not due until after the holiday. So I'm hoping that maybe, this weekend if I get some extra time, or next weekend I might try and read one or two of them. So we shall see. But like I said, I really enjoyed this one. A great story of family and faith and hope and love and, all those wonderful Christmas things that we all enjoy so much. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. The next book that I finished was The Trouble with Mistletoe by Jill Shalvis. This was narrated on audio by Karen White. It is book number 2 in the Heartbreaker Bay series. I gave this book 4 stars as well, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.97 stars. I got 4 challenges completed out of this one. This was another one for the Triple RC for December. It was challenge number 10, which was Reader's Choice. The next one was for the A Million More Pages KMMP challenge, which is the radio station challenge, and this was for week number 6 for grunge. And grunge music is music I never really listened to, but what was really funny is I picked this song, this song to use because it would absolutely fit the book I was currently reading. And I'm like, so the song, in case you're curious, is Interstate Love Song, and it's by the Stone Temple Pilots. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know that song. But then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I totally know this song. It came out when I was in high school, so it was one that was, on the radio quite often. But the prompt was read a love story, so obviously this one fit the bill. And the last one was for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree Challenge number 14, which was Holly Jolly Christmas. Read a book that takes place during Christmas time, or where Christmas plays an important part in the plot, or a book that fills you with cheer. This book fit all 3 of those. Sorry about that, guys. I had to jump over and come back. I thought I heard somebody at my door. Anyway, so you guys know how much I love Jill Shalvis, and this Heartbreaker Bay series is just absolutely fantastic. This is the story of Willa and Keen, and unbeknownst to Keen, Willa actually knew him in high school. They do have a history, and but he doesn't remember her at all. And to be fair, it was a chance meeting. One time, she kind of lusted over him, but he really didn't. He was a senior to her sophomore, so it's not like they would have run in the same circles together. And he was, the popular jock, and she was kind of the geeky girl. And they've now met again as adults because his long-lost aunt, I shouldn't say long-lost aunt, an aunt he had never met before, shows up at his front door with her cat and says, you need to look after this cat for me because I'm sick. And, when I get better, I'll come and pick up the cat. And so he takes it to Willa's shop, which is called South Bark, which is like the best name ever for a pet store. And she kind of babysits the cat during the day. And, of course, the two of them start a relationship. And things go from there. It's a great story. Wonderful. I love Jill Shalvis. It's very spicy. So, if you're into that kind of thing. And, but it was so nice visiting with the other characters from this series because, like I said, this is the second book in the Heartbreaker Bay, so you get to meet back up with the group of friends again. And, yeah, I absolutely love it. It takes place in San Francisco, and it's great. I absolutely recommend this series if you're a fan of Jill Shalvis. The next book that I finished was Christmas Eve at Friday Harbor by Lisa Kelypas, I think is how you say it. It was narrated on audio by Tanya Ebby. When the narrator was saying the author's name, I kept trying to like listen to it so I could try and memorize how it's pronounced. I apologize if I said it wrong. This is the first book in the Friday Harbor series, and it has an I gave it a rating of 3.5 stars. Bring it down a notch. It has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.75 stars, and I got 3 challenges out of this one. So this was book number 8 for the Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge, and it was challenge number 6 for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree Challenge, which was Sleigh Ride. Read a book with a mode of transportation on the cover. It says bonus if it's a sleigh. Unfortunately, it's a boat. It'll have to do. Or if it's a book with the word ride in the text. And the last one was for the Book of the Month Club for the A Million More Pages group on Goodreads. It was one of their December picks. They do 3 books every month, and you can read either 1, 2, or all 3 of the books. The choice is yours. I'm actually reading 2 of them. The other one was already on my TBR for December, and it's the one I'm currently reading. I'll get into that towards the end of the video. And this was the other one that I wanted to read, and I had it on Goodreads. Or not I had it on Goodreads. I had it on Audible. That I bought it a while ago, so I decided to give it a read. Now, this was actually a reread for me. I read it originally a long time ago when it first came out. I didn't put what year it came out. But I actually, way back, like before I was even on Goodreads, I mean, we're going back, it's probably been at least 6 or 7 years since this book came out. And I actually have a copy of it packed in a box somewhere that's signed by the author. I won it through a giveaway, I think from, anybody else remember Shalfari? That's what I used to be on. Or maybe it was a book blog. I cannot remember. It might have been a book blog. But I did win a signed copy, and I do have it. And I read it then, but this was essentially a reread. And it's the story of Maggie and Mark. I think it's Mark. Mark or Mike. I'm pretty sure it's Mark. And his sister passes away at the very beginning of the book and leaves his 4-year-old niece Holly in his care as, you know, her legal guardian. And, you know, the story kind of goes from there. It takes place over a 6-month period. And Mark and Maggie meet right at the very beginning as well. She owns a little toy shop in town, and he brings Holly in to, you know, see the toys and things like that. The two of them kind of strike up a friendship. He's dating someone else at the time. But like I said, it does take place over 6 months, so it's more of a slow burn romance, which is kind of nice. Especially for a book that's this short. I think it's like around 200 and some odd pages. On audio, it was only 4 hours, so it's a really, really quick read. And the title is a little deceiving, though. The Christmas part of it only takes place during the last, like, 20 pages of the book. Like I said, 6-month period, it goes through Halloween and Thanksgiving and then into the Christmas season. But, you know, so, I mean, you're getting all those holidays, but, you know, the book does stretch out over quite a large time period. Still really good. Like I said, it's the beginning of the series. I never did continue on, but I do plan to now and read the other books. It's about the other 2 brothers. So yeah, highly recommend. The next book that I finished was, sorry, I think I skipped, oh, here it is. Sorry. Scandal at the Christmas Ball by Marguerite, Kaye, and Bronwyn Scott. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It has an average rating of 4.16 stars on Goodreads. I got 3 challenges out of this one, and this was the Harlequin Romance Monthly Theme Reading Club for December. And it was number 9 for my Anti-Stress Holiday Challenge. And it was challenge number 1 for the Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree Challenge, which was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Read a book with a red cover, at least 50%, or a book about an outcast. There's 2 short novellas, if you will, within this volume. It's an anthology, a 2-book anthology, essentially. And it takes place over the same time period in the same place. So both authors took separate characters and had them all interact together. So the whole premise of these 2 stories is this couple, the Brockmores, had this huge estate. This is a Regency England or Regency romance. And they invite all these random people up to this ball. And, you know, it's essentially to help them. The people who are coming are outcasts in society for many different reasons. In the first story, excuse me, he is a retired general in the army, and he was pretty much kicked out of the army for various reasons. It was actually quite heartbreaking to find out what it was, and I couldn't believe this was something that actually used to be done. I don't know if it's something that's still practiced, but you need to read the book to find out what it actually is. And she was a governess who was accused of stealing from the people that she worked for, and it was unjustified because she didn't. And then the second couple, you know, they had their own kind of thing. He was a shut-in from society since his father died, and she was kind of a very shocking debutante who had no interest in ever getting married, and she was pretty much trying to stay off the marriage market until finally her parents just would say, fine, we don't care anymore, go do what you want kind of idea. The stories were all great. I really, really enjoyed them, but what I exceptionally loved was that these both start on Christmas Eve, and they last over the 12 days of Christmas. And it was so much fun reading about how Regency England celebrated the holidays. Seeing the kind of things that they did where it wasn't the focus on gifts and commercialism. It was about spending time together and, you know, going on sleigh rides and tobogganing and going ice skating and taking walks into the local village and, you know, stringing fresh greenery around the house. I love that. I absolutely did. And I'm now really, really interested in trying to find a book that is all about Victorian Christmases, like a nonfiction. So if anyone has any suggestions, please do let me know, because I would absolutely love to read that next year. And the last book that I finished this week was Starry Night by Debbie Macomber. This was narrated on audio by Rebecca Lohman. I gave it 3.5 stars, and it has an average rating on Goodreads of 3.80 stars. And I got 5 challenges completed out of this one, guys. So the first one was for the Triple RC Monthly Challenge. For challenge number 3, featured author. Debbie Macomber was not the featured author, but I can't remember who the featured author was, but as long as you read a contemporary, and this was absolutely a contemporary romance. The next one was for the KMMP Challenge, again the radio station challenge, for week number 7. And this week's was boy bands, which, yes, I am very familiar with boy bands. I am of the generation of New Kids on the Block, but I still do love the Backstreet Boys. Love the Backstreet Boys. And NSYNC. I really wanted to try and get one of the books for one of them. Like, I think for NSYNC it was Bye Bye Bye, and I can't remember the one for Backstreet Boys. But I really wanted one of them, but they didn't fit with anything I was reading, unfortunately. So the one that I got the song is I'll Be Home for Christmas by 98 Degrees. Anybody else remember 98 Degrees? And it was read a book tagged holiday. So that was fun. The next one is the 10th book in my anti-stress holiday challenge. I'm going to blow that challenge out of the water, just with the sole fact that I'm reading nothing but holiday stories all month, and I still have a whole bunch of them to finish. Yeah. My challenge, the top that you could go was 20 books. I'm more than halfway done it. So, and it runs until the end of January. Yeah, I'm going to pretty much blow that challenge out of the water. The next one is another Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree. This was for challenge number 3. Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I was so thrilled when I realized that I could fit this book in this challenge, because read a book that takes place in one of the following locations: Alaska, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, or Iceland. Or read a book about a naughty or nice character. Left to your own interpretation, it says. This book takes place in Alaska, or parts of it take place in Alaska, which is absolutely brilliant. When I started reading the book and I realized that, I was so thrilled that I'd be able to fit it in here. And the last challenge is a brand new challenge that just started on the 15th of December, so that was yesterday. And that is the By the Numbers Challenge. This is also in the Triple RC group, the Romance Readers Reading Group on Goodreads. They do quarterly challenges 4 times a year, obviously. And this one, like I said, is by the numbers. So the way this challenge works is you can pick whatever level that you want. I'll link below to the challenge itself if you're interested in checking it on Goodreads. And you can pick whatever level you want, but I'm going like all in. So it's essentially you need to read 5 books with a 1-word title, 5 books with a 2-word title, 5 books with a 3-word title, etc., up to 7 words in a title. And then the bonus part of it is to read books that actually have numbers in the title. So had I have held Miracle on Fifth Avenue until after the 15th of December, I could have counted that as a bonus. So yeah, so that's the way this challenge works. So for this one, this was a 2-word title, so I got to slide into a 2-word spot. This was a really good story. I did find some sections of it, I was rolling my eyes a little bit because it was very, very much a insta-love, which generally doesn't bother me, but it just seemed... I don't mind insta-love when it makes sense. When the characters are very similar, when they have a lot of common interests, but when these are 2 vastly different characters, it just doesn't make any sense to me. And this is, maybe it's just me. Sorry. But She is a newspaper reporter. Her name's Kaye, and she's a newspaper reporter in Chicago. His name is Finn, and he wrote a best-selling novel called Alone, and he is an Alaskan wilderness guy. He grew up in Alaska. He's lived there his entire life, and he writes this best-selling book about surviving in the wilderness, essentially. You could not get two different characters. And what kind of turned me off at the very beginning of this book is that it stressed on how difficult, nobody has been able to get an interview with this guy. Some of the top people at the New York Times or the New York Post, people all over the world, reporters have been hunting this guy out and cannot find him to get an interview. Like, it's not that he's not necessarily just granting interviews, but they can't locate him to ask him. She finds him within 5 minutes, and I'm thinking, well, like, she finds out who his mother is. Fine. A lot of other reporters have done that, as they said in the book. But then she shows up on the mom's front door, knocks on the door, and just says, yeah, that's what I'm here for. And the mom's like, yeah, sure, I'll tell you where he is. Like, and then she gets up to Alaska, and his best buddy, again, you know, doesn't want to talk to her at first, but then, you know, says, well, this is why I'm here, and this is what I have. It's like, oh, sure, I'll fly you in. It was just a little too convenient and a little too easy, and that kind of bothered me. The story itself was really, really sweet. It was very well written. I mean, Debbie Macomber is so great at these kind of books. And it actually really made me want to go to Alaska, just reading some of the scenes. Now, some of the book takes place in Alaska. A lot of it takes place in Chicago. Some of it in Seattle. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place. But again, like right from the very beginning, he couldn't stand looking at her. To a day later, he's in love with her. I didn't buy it. But that's just me. If you can look beyond that, it was a really good story. And it was a sweet Christmas read. It's not very long. Like I said, this was an audiobook, and it was only around 5 hours on audio. So, in retrospect, it was a relatively shorter book, and I did enjoy it. As you guys know, 3.5 stars for me is not a bad rating. So, what am I currently reading? My current ebook, is The Christmas Present by Tracy Wolff. I am really enjoying this one. It's not your typical Christmas type read, wherein the entire plot of the novel is actually about this young boy, only 16, who is being accused of committing a very brutal crime on his girlfriend. A very brutal murder, I should say, on his girlfriend. And she is, the woman, Vivian in the story, she is working the case pro bono. She's actually a divorce attorney, but she's working the case. And Raphael is this boy's mentor. Like, he runs a what do you call it? Like a center for boys to go to, like in a very rough neighborhood that, you know, if they want to come in off the streets and stuff like that, you know, they come and play games and do their homework and stuff like that. And he's kind of like being as a father figure to this boy. Yeah, so it's their story. I've just gotten into it. I'm only about 4 chapters into it. I haven't had a lot of reading time over the last couple days, like actual physical reading, because work's been so stressful. But I do plan on finishing this one today because it's a relatively short and easy read, and I am enjoying it. My audiobook that I literally just started this morning is What Light by Jay Asher. This is being narrated on audio by Mandy Siegfried. And I don't know too much about this one because, like I said, I just started. I'm only 20 minutes into it. But it's about a girl whose parents run a Christmas tree farm and a romance. It's a YA contemporary romance, and it sounds really cute. The cover just drew me right in, and I heard a lot of mixed reviews about this book, but I am very, very much looking forward to continuing on with it. And yeah, so I guess that's about it for this video, guys, for my reading. It's like a week till Christmas, everybody. Cheers. I hope you've done your Christmas shopping. Finished mine yesterday morning. Not that I'm bragging. No, I shouldn't say I'm done, because next weekend I still have to go to Walmart and buy some stocking stuffers for my husband. We've decided this year that we're not actually going to exchange Christmas presents. It's silly for me to give him a list of things that I want, for him to give me a list of things that he wants. You know, why not just wait till after Christmas and then we can spend whatever money we were going to spend? I know that's not like the true nature of the holiday, and I get all that, but it just seems silly to me to be buying things just for the sake of buying things. Do you know what I mean? We will be doing stockings, and I think that's a little bit more fun because it's more of a chance to buy things for him that he wouldn't necessarily buy for himself. One of our traditions that we do is we always buy each other new pajamas every year on Christmas. And so, you know, like I'll get him like magazines or maybe a couple books, some chocolate, stuff like that for his stocking, you know, just those little things. And that to me is more fun. We don't have to spend a ton of money for the holidays. And, you know, I bought my niece's present yesterday. I got her Clue Junior, because she's only 7. So, maybe it'll be something that Mommy and Daddy will like playing with, like, you know, playing it with her. I'm sure Auntie Sarah will get dragged into playing with her as well on Christmas Day, which is absolutely fine. And I love the fact that it's not about a murder. It's about who ate the cake, which I think is just adorable, because that is a bigger crime sometimes, in my opinion. And I also got her 2 graphic novels. I actually went ahead and got her the first book in the Babysitters Club series as a graphic novel. Now, it might be a little bit older for her, but I'm thinking because it's a graphic novel, it might be a little bit easier for her to read. And the other one I got, which I noticed had really high ratings, is called Phoebe and Her Unicorn. And if I get a chance, their books and stuff are supposed to be arriving this week from Amazon. Because we live in the city, we get stuff delivered relatively quickly. When it comes in, I will show you guys next Saturday when I do my weekly reads, and just quickly show you guys the book. Because they're saying it's like Calvin and Hobbes for little girls. It's about a little girl and her unicorn. And it just sounds wonderful. And I was looking at some of the art. She's going to love it, I hope. I really, really do. I got my little nephew, who's only 6 months old. Not really much of a reader just yet, but I got him Pat the Bunny. I guess it's supposed to be a very well-known book for infants or children or something like that. So I always like to give books, and then I'm going to get him a couple little outfits, because you can never have too many clothes when you're a toddler, because you spit up over everything. So yeah, so that is that. But before I let you guys go really quickly, I do want to show you my cross stitch, because I've been doing a lot of work on this. This has been my downtime when I get home at night. You know, it's been very relaxing, so I wanted to show you guys. I finished Capricorn and Aquarius. Isn't that awesome? Now, my lovely friend Linda, who watches this, hello Linda, she did mention to me about putting a strip of fabric between here. I took it out just because it makes it a little bit easier to see when I'm showing you guys. But I do have, where is it? Here it is. My friend Mandy made me this, and it's actually a grime guard that goes around like the outside of your work, so that way when you're holding onto the frame, you're not getting your like oils in your hands all over it. But what I did is I actually took these off, put this around it, and then pop these back on, because as Linda was saying, it could cause damage to the stitches I've already done down here, which is something that I had thought about, and I had mentioned that to other friends of mine. They're like, oh no, it'll be fine. But I'd rather err on the side of caution. So again, thank you, Linda, for pointing that out to me. But yeah, so I am super thrilled with that. So I have a little something to do over here, a little decorative. You can see the little star there, or like, so I have that to do there. And then I'm actually moving back this way, because this has completed the second page of the pattern. But because the center of it, for those of you who are unfamiliar with cross stitch, I like to start at the center of the work and work my way out. So I start at the center and I finish this page, and I'm going to jump back over to this page. So I'll be doing like Aries and stuff like that over here. But yeah, I just think that they are just so stinking adorable. I absolutely love this. Oh, I love it. I love it. Now, the company that created this, Clouds Factory, I will leave a link to them in the description box below if you guys are interested in checking it out if you're cross stitchers yourself. They have a stitch along starting in January 10th. And my friend Mandy and I are doing it together, and we're going to keep up with it. So this you guys might not see in the new year as much, if you see it at all, because it is an alphabet sampler. So for each letter of the alphabet, so you get another part of the pattern every month. So like in January, you'll maybe get A and B. And then in February, you'll get C and D, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's mythical creatures, right? So we've seen M. They gave the sneak peek for M, which is Medusa. And it's really cute. Like, it's not creepy scary. It's really cute. And Mandy and I are like trying to figure out what animal is going to go for what. And we're thinking maybe U for unicorn, you know, stuff like that. So if you're into cross stitch, like I said, I'll leave a link to the company below. Please go check it out. It's a digital download. So every month you will get a new copy emailed to you. And then you can print it out if you want. I read mine off my tablet, but each to their own. So yeah, so I just want to show that off because I am so pleased with how adorable cute that is. I love it. This is going to look so awesome when it's all done. Anyway, guys, I have talked for far too long in this video, so I'm going to let you guys go. And I will talk to you in my next video. Until then, take care and happy reading, everybody. Bye.